call to order the Planning Board meeting of November 3rd, 2022. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Town of Burlington will be holding the November 3rd, 2022 meeting of the Planning Board as a hybrid meeting due to the current state of emergency due to the COVID-19 virus. As such, the Governor issued an executive order on March 12, 2020, authorizing remote meetings under General Law Code 30A, Section 20, and extended by Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, including permitting remote meetings and participation until March 31st, 2023.
As always, members of the public are welcome to attend this meeting in person, but please note that while an option for remote attendance or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in a specific item on the agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. If you are looking to participate remotely, you can do so via the following. townofburlington.webex.com is the website. The meeting number is 2345-270-6075. You can join via WebEx via the phone with 617-315-0704. We're being broadcast on the BCAT government channel, which can be found on Comcast 99, RCN 15, and Verizon 41. It's also streamed on Facebook Live via the BCAT government Facebook page. The public will be able to make comments during the hearing during time for public comments. Questions can be asked via WebEx and the WebEx Q&A function. All persons wishing to ask a question or make a comment must identify themselves ahead of time.
Thank you. Item 2 on our agenda is public participation. Each participant will be allotted 3 minutes and must identify themselves prior to speaking. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an item that is not on our current agenda? Seeing no one?
Is there anybody?
Oh, we're on mute.
Are we on? Thank you. Bill, can you hear us?
You have to mute your. Yeah, he's remote. He has a little sore throat, they say. So.
Great. We have some items being continued off of tonight's agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to take items 7C and 7G, 7C through 7G, together and out of order for discussion purposes.
Second.
Roll call.
Tony Ann,
Aye.
what? The motion to take this out of order. So, Joe?
Yes.
Yes.
Brenda?
Yes.
Oh, it's
Yes.
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 Bill?
Yes.
Thank you. Item C is continue, item C is continued public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to section 4.2.7.4, laboratories engaged in research, experimental and testing activities including but not limited to the fields of chemistry, electronics, engineering, geology, non-biological medicine, and physics of the zoning bylaws. 22 Terry Avenue, AP Terry LLC is the applicant. Item D is continued public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to section 4.2.7.4.1, life science laboratories engaged in research, prototype manufacturing, experimental and testing activities included but not limited to the fields of pharmaceutical, biomedical technologies, and engineering, life systems technologies, environmental and biomedical devices, biosafety level 4, BL4, laboratories as defined by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention are prohibited in Burlington, the zoning bylaws. 22 Terry Avenue, AP Terry LLC is the applicant. Item E is a continued public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to section 4.2.7.4.2, life science laboratories engaged in the manufacture of life science technologies and medicines for commercial production to the market, including but not limited to the fields of pharmaceuticals, biomedical technologies, and engineering, Life System Technologies, Environmental Biomedical Devices, Biosafety Level 4, BL4 Laboratories as defined by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention are prohibited in Burlington, the zoning bylaws, 22 Terry Avenue. AP Terry LLC is the applicant. Item F is a continued public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to section 4.2.7.9, hazardous and toxic materials, chemical use, storage, transport, disposal, or discharge of the zoning bylaws. 22 Terry Avenue, AP Terry LLC is the applicant. Item G is a continued public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to section 4.2.7.11, generation or storage of hazardous waste limited to the volumes classified as a very small quantity generator, VSQG, of the zoning bylaws, 22 Terry Avenue, AP Terry LLC is the applicant. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to continue these matters to the planning board meeting of December 1st, 2022, at the request of the applicant in an email from their attorney dated October 27th, 2022.
Second.
Aye.
Tony Anatola.
Yes. Aye.
Eva.
Yes.
Rappaport.
Yes.
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 Member Gaffney.
yes,
Moving on to announcements.
Sure, so the last day for early in-person voting is tomorrow, November 4th, from 8:30 to 5 o'clock in this room, Town Hall Main Hearing Room. You can come and do that. Election day is November 8th, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The polls are open at Burlington High School. The Zoning Bylaw Review Committee will have a meeting on November 9th at 6:30 via Zoom. And on November 11th, the Town Hall offices will be closed for Veterans Day.
Great, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just wanted to make a couple of quick thank yous. One to everyone who came to Paul Raymond's retirement party, and especially to Cafe Escadrille, who very generously gave us a great deal at the Cafe Escadrille for Paul's party. They were very gracious, and we appreciate that. I also wanted to thank Wegmans for their donation to the Sculpture Park Pumpkin Party. The donuts were fabulous, and we really appreciate their generosity. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Just quickly, the zoning bylaw review committee signed by law subcommittee is meeting on next Monday at 5:30. And I just want to say thank you to Barbara, who I believe was very instrumental in putting together the whole thing. And
Extras.
very good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great, does anyone else have anything?
Yeah. Just gave them.
I just wanted, I wasn't here when they did this. I love that.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
I love the
Very nice,
fact that they
thank you.
appreciate the new facility so
Yes,
much. that they-
Yes, thank you, DPW.
Yeah, thank you. That's so cool.
Okay, on to matters of appointment. Item A is a continued public hearing, petition to amend the planning board town center design rules and regulations. Staff.
So what we have here is a continued discussion. I know that with Sally Willard, she'll come up and give a kind of a presentation. What they're looking to do, from my understanding, is their aim to get to January town meeting with some new definitions of sign definitions, and also to kind of set up, again, a sign district, specifically the town center sign district. So she has a presentation for us, and I think that it's kind of just listening, kind of absorbing it, and then eventually they're probably going to be looking for a vote. So that's kind of where we're at.
Liz, has everyone received copies of the definitions and such? Do we know? Was that distributed?
I do believe it was.
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
Did you? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and then, what was the other thing? Nope, if I remember it, I'll let you know.
Can you make sure that you send me an email with those as well? 'Cause
Oh,
that was
yeah,
the-
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. The other thing is, we did get, response. I know that you were concerned about making sure the Board of Appeals was looped in, and we did.
Yep,
get
I looped them in.
response. They looped them in,
And I
and
sent
so.
the response over to Sally and Sherry and the team.
So, yep.
I'm on it.
All right, thank you for having me tonight to your discussion on the signage regulations and the town center overlay. Next. So the ZBRC sign subcommittee has been working for a couple of years to update the current sign bylaws. Our goal has been to reduce the number and variety of appeals to the ZBA and to update we hope, the appearance of the area, which is in need of some updating, and as someone said, love. Our discussions have included the current draft of the Town Center Design Rules and Regs, which is why I'm here today. Without a signage section, the design rules document, in the design rules document, signs only need to meet the criteria of the underlying zoning, because there are no other rules that would apply. So the design rules, section 9, opens with a preamble that just says that all new signage requiring a permit within the town center district shall be subject to design review. Now, that doesn't happen today because this is not part of the rules and regulations. Components of the review, which are not limited, include but are not limited to color, illumination, placement, materials, and overall look and feel. All signage shall continue to be governed by Article 13 of the Burlington zoning bylaw and Article 14 of the Burlington general bylaws. The signage regulations are duplicated in both, and I believe that had to do with enforcement, which is why they're in the general bylaw. I can't explain to you why that was necessary, but it was. So the current signage section was drafted in 2017, and it's never gone beyond that. But it includes important general guidelines and some pictures, illustrations, appropriate to the town center. For design compatibility, there's lots of discussion and nice words about creative design is encouraged. Signs should be integrated with the building. In other words, if it's a giant sign, it shouldn't be on a tiny building. Or if it's in the civic center or in a historic building, the sign should be appropriate. In other words, no neon. Design compatibility. So there are a number of illustrations and photos in the existing document, but this is an issue that I think would be very apparent if you came and took a walk around in the town center, especially in this business center. Design compatibility, where you have a wide variety of buildings, and they all have a variety of signs. So there's nothing that's really cohesive that makes it look like something that, you know, all fits together. Pedestrian-oriented signs. That's not something that is generally talked about, but those are signs, if you have people walking down the sidewalk or walking through an area, you want the signs not to just be flat up against a building where people have to walk out into the parking lot to take a look at them, but you want them to be something that's visible to the people who are walking through the area or who are driving by, and they want to be able to see what's going to happen. So we have a solution for that too. Color. Have you ever noticed what a rainbow of colors and lighting and signs there are over at the Central Business District? There's a wide variety. The presumption is that when someone puts up a building and then they have occupants, that the occupants are going to, you know, have some care about their signs. What these rules would do is provide some guidelines. You know, you want colors that are compatible with the building, and you also want colors that are compatible with people's vision. so that people can see things. You know, if you have a bunch of bright pink and green and yellow in your sign, it's going to be hard to read anything in that sign. And some of that, of course, depends on age. But the idea is that people should have some guidelines for what are contrasting colors, what might signs look like. The materials. Now, the sign materials guideline that's included in this document is, there are specs for wood, metal, and high-density preformed foam. In our discussions, we would have those items, the materials, as well as the size of signs and the type of illumination. We would put those in regulations that would be in the zoning article. And the reason is that there are some things that are really objective measures, and that can be something that's in a fixed product. If it's in the guidelines, it's more for subjective qualities, because you really want those subjective qualities. Styles change, and you don't want to have to go back to town meeting for all of that. If just the opinion of what people should have changes. Signs need to be legible, and there's a lot in there about legibility, including pedestrian-oriented signs and what they might look like. And the use of lettering, how you might specify letters, how far apart they have to be. In our review of regulations for the articles that we're hoping to bring forward, we have lettering heights that are based on the type of sign or dimensions. But whatever you do, you could have, you know, a lot of tall letters, but if you have too many squished together, no one's going to be able to read it. You can use symbols and logos, and all of this is covered, but it needs some detail that's not in there yet. Lighting, there's a short discussion about lighting, and that should be carefully considered. And with that, I'm done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Does anyone have any questions?
Do you want feedback on all of this now?
Yeah.
The only question I have is regarding lighting, actually, because as Bill will probably agree, we try to be careful about lighting, about the intensity of the light, the brightness of the light. So imaginative and innovative kind of scares me a little bit.
Well, but that's why this was a draft.
Okay.
That has,
Yeah.
you know, this came from the planning department. And it's still a draft.
Okay, well, so that is my feedback, that I'd like to work on that language a little bit with lighting.
Right, and one of the things that we've discussed in all of our consideration of the zoning bylaw is the illumination, what types of lighting there might be. You know, you can't force people to change what they have now, because they have to be grandfathered in.
Sure.
That's one of the reasons that we have the parallel bylaws right now. But you can have recommendations for the types of lighting that go on different types of signs.
Okay, thank you, Sally.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, just when you say the parallel bylaw, what do you mean? The zoning versus the general bylaw, or?
Yes.
Yeah,
It-
so the
you-
general, they can enforce,
Yes,
not be grandfathered. They can
that's
a
correct.
certain amount of time, but, so is that gonna be, will this be part of the general bylaw as well, or no?
Well, ideally, in the future, there will be one sign bylaw.
Yeah.
So our tact, after discussion with council, town council, was to create districts so that you can have districts that are then governed solely by by what's in the zoning bylaw. And eventually, if the whole town can be covered, then you could do away with the piece that's in the general. Because right now, if you change one, you really have to change the other.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you, the size, how did you come to, the lettering and the size stuff? Was it by the previous, laws that they had in place? I mean, how did the new signage stuff come about, like, for lettering on each size? You said there were different sizes.
When you're talking about like with the and I was thinking of the same thing.
Yeah,
When the compatibility, when you say it needs to be compatible in design, compatible in size to the building it's on and all that stuff, is that, so these are just general concepts here, they're not incorporating any dimensions or anything?
No, these are not, what's in this document is not enshrined in anything.
Right.
But when we were discussing, and I think Ernie could probably help here, when we were discussing different types of signs, so in one of the documents that you will, or if you haven't already received, is an article to create signage districts. The first district would be the town center overlay, since that's neatly laid out already. But that, our update to Article 13 in the zoning bylaw will include definitions of a variety of signs that are currently not defined anywhere. And then we address for each type of sign that we would allow in the town center overlay, different dimensions for the signs. And a lot of that came from really Ernie and Mike Murray, who was involved with us.
And if I may add, Sally, also, we had at least half a dozen meetings where a representative from the International Sign Organization was there. And obviously, they're representing sign manufacturers, so they're a little biased. But they had some thoughts and ideas about sizes of letters and things like that. And it's obvious that the size of the letter is going to be dictated, maybe not in the town center, but in other places, by where the sign is being viewed from. You know, a sign that sits on 128 is going to be bigger than a sign in the town center district, obviously. And while I'm here, and Joe probably knows better than I do, I believe the idea of putting both putting the sign bylaws in both the zoning bylaw and the general there was some really hubbub, and it was just before I moved into town, I think, about billboards and whatever, and they wanted to get rid of those pretty immediately. So there's a sunset clause or something in the general bylaw that says something like, within 2 years, any sign that doesn't comply.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years, whatever it is, yeah.
So that was the reason, and I know when I was on the zoning board of appeals, it was always a little weird, I guess is the word for it, that they were in both the general bylaw and the zoning bylaw, and that's how that was explained to me.
Right.
Is there a sunset clause, or do we propose a sunset clause within this new?
You can't have it in the zoning, but you can't have a sunset clause in the zoning
That brings
bylaw.
me to my question. So are we taking additional risk if we eventually take it out of the general bylaw because we no longer have
Well,
that
I think,
ability to police it?
Well, that would be the goal, but once you have the town, so one of our concerns was that, one size doesn't fit every area and every neighborhood. What you have in the town center, you may not want at the Wilmington Plaza or someplace down on, in the shops down on Wynn Street. And that's why it's a process. We have not tried to tackle everything. But eventually, because most towns have just one bylaw. a sign bylaw that may or may not be part of their zoning bylaw. Because every town is surprisingly different. And so we've looked at a lot of those and used those as part of our resource. But eventually, the goal would be to have a standalone sign bylaw that covers everything in town.
Will it be enforceable?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Oh, and we've provided for enforcement and so on in what we're proposing, what we will be proposing within the zoning bylaw. So there will be enforcement for any districts that are created, any signage districts, there will be enforcement within the zoning
So
bylaw.
that's a component that is yet to come, I assume, is what you're saying. So these are like kind of visionary statements, and then you'll have a component that will follow, that will be more
So-
definitive.
So what Sally actually presented on is, it's a draft that the previous planning director drafted. What year was it,
2017.
2017? She
Is-
drafted a signage chapter within the town center design rules and regs. And so the sign review committee has been looking at that and trying to use it as a base, and how can we kind of use the vision, because it was a great vision and there are great ideas in there, but how do we make it more solid and a little bit easier for
So,
potential businesses to use?
So the size of the building will sort of dictate the size that's gonna be in this, right?
Yes,
So, okay.
So they will incorporate dimensional, components to this whole thing that will then define exactly what these concepts are talking about, so.
right.
Go ahead.
And just like, Joe, planning board has design review, at least in the town center, this would fall under that also. I mean, the planning board would be able to say, no, that's not gonna sign, get rid of it. So, at least in the town center.
Yep.
Great. Member Gaffney, did you have anything you'd like to add? We don't want to forget about you out there.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is good. I think Member LaRue, actually was ahead of me in the imaginative and innovative lighting techniques. I think we saw some of that up in Third Ave with the bowling alley there, where it actually looks like a moving sign because they're imaginative with their signage. So yeah, I think you absolutely want to be careful with that. I think based on, the proposal that was before us, there was things that I had concerned about. I think one was the neon, which I think was mentioned, and how that is defined, and how do you kind of make sure that the neon is at least limited, if not prohibited. And then a couple of things like we tried to do with some signs with, when it says externally lit, does that mean you can do it with a row of fluorescent all the way across, which we currently have there? That's externally lit, but I don't think that's the intention of that. And then the third thing that came to mind was, as I was reviewing that, there's kind of motion signs, and I know you've met with E-Ink, you mentioned them the last time, and that is basically, you can put anything on that sign any way you want. It's very graphic, and it's things can motion and things like that. So I don't think that's really what you want to have for the town center, but maybe some other places you could have that, but I think you probably want to prohibit that, particularly in the town center. And then, again, I agree with that, being on the Board of Appeals for many years. I have some documentation here that shows how big the sign should be with the viewing, with a certain distance away. And then looking at the bylaw itself, the way the table is presented, that each building can have all of the signs that are there by right. So I think what you want to really do is, instead of having every possible sign, and then what you might hear is, well, that'll never happen. Nobody will ever put every sign that's possible, that's by right on there, and that's in fact not true. It actually happens. So you want to say, of those options that you have, you get one, right? You don't have an awning sign, plus you have a monument sign, plus you have, all the other signs that are possible. So maybe consider that as this gets modified a bit. And if you're trying to get to January town meeting, I think we're probably, again, probably have to have something written pretty soon, right? When does that have to happen?
The warrants have already been submitted.
Okay.
And we're using this as an opportunity to get started.
But what is going to go to January town meeting? The definitions and what else?
Well, we have,
Okay.
right, we're willing to continue this beyond,
Okay. Good. It seemed
because we think that it's important and it's going to require a lot of discussion and input from others.
If I
Yeah,
may,
please.
personally, I think that the definitions were really comprehensive. I think that's something that probably could go to town meeting in January.
Agreed.
I would be hesitant to do anything more than that.
I would agree. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well,
I agree.
our thought was that if you put the definitions in and you don't have, if you put the definitions in and you don't have a specific district
Okay, I understand.
targeted,
Right.
then people are going to just dive in and do whatever they want. So that's why we would rather that it go through as a package. And if that takes longer than January, then that takes longer than January.
At least if we get the ball rolling, then we can always amend if need.
I think town council actually cautioned us against doing that, didn't she, Sally?
Yes, yes.
By separating them.
And one other thing, Madam Chair, if I could, we
Please.
might also want to remember that there's a lot of PDDs out there.
Yep.
And a lot of the PDDs have their own sign bylaws. And
Understood.
this, I don't think we're looking to affect those, at least not immediately, right?
No, but if you, as town council said, when she spoke with us forever ago,
Yep.
she said, if you do it in small chunks, like districts, think of those districts as a kind of planned signage district. So that you don't have to do everything at once, which means that once you set the regulations in one place, then you can go on to the next, which I think makes sense. And if you're not in one of those defined districts, then you can't just do.
Understood. Thank you. Member Gaffney?
Yeah, just real quick, so have we seen what's already printed up and going to town meeting then? mean-
Nothing has gone to town meeting.
No, that will be going to town meeting in January, so have we seen that, that final document, and do we, again, I think I get frustrated with things are heading to town meeting and they're already printed before we've even had a chance to comment on them. If that's what we saw the last time,
So clarification for that, Bill. So those were handed out at the planning board meeting last planning board meeting. You did get a copy of those. So what Sally has done is she's put a placeholder in, so she's put in kind of a placeholder for this with the select board so that if she needed to, if she wanted to, she could go forward with it. We don't need to vote on it until December 1st. And so it is going, Sally is doing, what has been decided as the correct procedure. So she's not looking for a vote tonight. And, they put in a placeholder, and we do that a lot of times too. You have to have a placeholder into Lynn Mills 90 days before town meeting, so I can obviously, I will definitely send that out again via email for everybody.
And then, do we have,
but I couldn't comment on it because what we heard last meeting was, this is just to take a look at it, right? So I had a lot of comments, but I was holding off to when we formally came, but if we're behind the 8 ball again, that something's already, if we're 90 days, you have to be 90 days, that we should be looking at this, 120 days before you send it out. So I think where I get frustrated in this is that things is always rushed in, to get into town meeting without kind of the appropriate comment period, and then the ability to have it modified before it gets printed up for town meeting. So that's, I guess, a bit of my frustration over time, but thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do we have a first draft for?
some type of draft of the districts that we're looking at? Do we have that?
Um,
Yet,
at-
or
at-
no?
At this point, we have only identified the town center overlay
Okay.
as the town center signage district.
So-
There's a zoning district called neighborhood business.
Right.
That nobody uses. And if you can imagine that a neighborhood business district might be an appropriate zoning district, if anyone used it, for a neighborhood signage district.
Understood. Okay, so I think game plan, Liz, you're gonna send out, circulate the definitions for everybody to review again. And then, thank you for your time, for coming in for this evening. And, we do have one, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this matter?
Yes, I believe it would be Mr. Bass.
me.
Well, there's two hands, I'm sorry, me? If you would, no, please do, Mr. Basler.
No, ladies before gentlemen, go ahead.
You had your hand up, sir. You had your hand up first, and I
Go ahead.
respectfully ask that you start.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, okay, I'll start. Hey, welcome back.
Thank you.
No problem. I can't see the screen here. I want to see the screen.
Which screen did you want to see, Mr. Bassler?
I want to see, yeah, there you go. Barbara, how come you all banned me from the board pages? Tell us now. Go ahead. Hey,
Let's keep it on topic, please.
no, that's topic. This is public hearing. I can say whatever I want, I can sing songs if I want. So let's hear Barbara tell us why they banned me from that page. Go ahead, let's hear it, Barbara.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Mr. Bowser, do you have anything that you'd like to discuss regarding this matter at this time?
Yeah, they're banning me from the public pages, Facebook pages, to comment on sing.
Madam Chair, may I just make one? Nobody here on the planning board or on the planning staff has any authority over Facebook pages or Facebook groups. That is not under our purview.
Oh, you don't run those groups,
No, I do not.
and you don't make decisions regarding same, yeah?
I do not.
Okay, as long as it's on the record, no problem.
Okay.
Brenda, how are you doing, Brenda?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
You feeling better?
Yes, thank you.
But my time is not up yet. I still have time.
You're getting pretty darn close, my friend.
Okay, well, just the screens keep changing.
I'm not quite sure why you're having computer issues, but if you'd like to talk about my well-being, we can do so offline.
All
Moving,
right, y'all have fun then.
thank you. Have a good evening. Ms. Ellis. Sherry, are you with us?
Yep, I had to unmute. Can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
All right, thank you. So the public hearing's about signage. So I just wanted to have a couple of comments regarding the signage. One of them is in the document that we presented, there's the first opening kind of paragraph about the signage district is something that town council kind of guided us on, is that overall, as Sally mentioned, we're going to have these individual districts. So the town council wanted us to make a provision in there that the signage and the definitions that we're doing are only applicable to the districts as we create them. So I think it was Member LaRue's point about, the definitions and things. We don't want everybody to go crazy throughout town. So everything throughout town will remain the same with the exception of this particular district. So when you go to read the document and the amendment to Article 13, that first section about the signage districts, when you read that, it might make a little more sense as to how we're doing this, piecemeal at a time, and how we can get away with that in the sense of not affecting the rest of the town. So that was one comment I just wanted to kind of say and maybe clarify on. The other thing was kind of to answer Member Gaffney. The reason we really put this forward is, as Sally said, we've been working on this for a couple of years, and we really want comments from you, the planning board, and from, select board and public. And the only way really to do that is to get it on the planning board agenda. So to do that, we put the warrant in so that we can have public hearings. So that's really the purpose. We're not trying to rush this through to January. If the conversations, happen and everyone loves everything we're doing and we get the design guidelines worked on and everyone's fine with that and it's ready for January, great. But really, this is to get the public hearings going because, as I said, 6, 7, 8 people and, town council and ISA, we've all been working on this, but really we need more public input. So that was really the purpose of putting the warrant article through, is so we can kind of force the issue and get public comment. So that's really where we're at the moment. So thank you.
Thank you. I think
I think everybody's spoken their piece, so may I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to continue this matter to the planning board meeting of November 17th, 2022.
Second.
Natola?
Yes.
Impemba?
Yes.
Yes.
Rappaport?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Member
Yep.
Great.
Thank you.
Moving on, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thanks, Sarah.
Item B. Are you folks, item B, are you here with SmartLink or AT&T?
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind approaching the desk for me, please. Item B is a public hearing, application for approval of special permit pursuant to section 4.3.1.14G, wireless communications facilities, which is subject to section 8.4.0, shall be permitted in the wireless communications overlay districts in accordance with the map depicting the districts and the provisions of section 1.0 of the zoning bylaws 72 Center Street. SmartLink on behalf of AT&T is the applicant. Good evening, folks. Would you mind stating your name and your organization for the record?
Hi, good evening. My name's Carolyn Seeley. I'm a project manager with SmartLink on behalf of AT&T.
I'm Mark Donnelly with SmartLink, construction manager, AT&T.
Great. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your application?
Yep, so AT&T is seeking approval to modify the existing cell site that's located on the water tank at 72 Center Street. AT&T is the top carrier on the tank at the 99-foot RAD center. These modifications consist of swapping 12 existing antennas with new, which will be painted to match. We're also looking to swap 3 existing remote radio units with new and upsizing the DC fiber cables. And these proposed modifications will not increase the height of the existing facility.
Okay. Did you get it? You don't have any of that information that I had asked for? No. Okay. A couple things. So you're upgrading your cables. Are you removing the old cables?
Yeah, we're removing 3 DC 6s and replacing with DC 9s. It's just a thicker wire
Yep. I'm
for power.
As far as equipment, so currently right now, and I haven't had a chance, I apologize, to look at the
All right.
plans. You said you're swapping out for 12 existing antennas and 3 RADs. What other equipment is up there that isn't currently in use? And bear in mind, I've been in telecom for quite some time, so I know how carriers can sometimes leave things behind, and that is my biggest peeve. Do you know of anything that's not active at this time?
No, there is not.
Okay,
UNTS is sunsetted.
okay,
You are familiar with that?
yes,
They canceled it, so it's done.
okay. What was
So
everything?
we're not
removed?
leaving any spare antennas or radios or wires or cables up there.
Okay, that will be a condition.
It's a
of
neat,
approval.
clean, retrofit, modern upgrade.
Is SmartLink doing the work itself?
We handed off to an AT&T approved civil vendor. I believe that's Qualtech.
Do you know who's doing it?
Oh, they have experience, yeah.
No, the name of the company I was asking.
What's that?
Do you know the name of the vendor that you're using?
I believe it's Qualtech.
Let me
Okay,
just look it up on my tracker. It's Qualtech
Qualtech.
Wireless.
Okay.
They're also located in Billerica.
as far as the current removal bond, do you by chance have the removal bond language? Do you know what the capacity is for the removal bond for the contract?
I don't know.
Okay. Liz, that's something I want to make sure that has been upgraded or is valid at this point in time, because I don't know when we signed that last contract. I want to make sure it's sufficient. where is the closest site from the water tank to your next closest site in the area? Do you know?
Well, all the sites neighbor, I can't tell you. They're neighboring sites, and depends on how much power they output and where they're placed and where they're gonna place others in conjunction where others are. So we don't get cross signals and everything with this technology.
We have a generator on site, is that accurate?
I do believe so, yeah, with that one.
Gas? And,
They're usually propane.
okay. And
Doubt it's propane.
I think we need to check that, please. And also make sure that the permits are active.
And there is an existing generator. I just checked the
Is it
drawings.
propane or is it gas? Does it say?
It doesn't say, no, but we can check.
Okay, that's something that I would want to make sure that we're cognizant of. Lastly, has a proposed amendment been sent to council for this?
We did receive an amendment, yes.
What was the compensation?
I don't know, Brenda.
Okay.
I've
That's something
never
else.
read one of these contracts before.
That's something else we want to take a look at as well.
So there was an amendment that wasn't, there was actually a consent letter. So we'd have to take a look at the lease just to confirm
I think
on the
that's-
amendment.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you
because I had just sent a consent letter to be signed.
It's kind of you. Yeah, I would like to think that, with new antennas, upgraded equipment,
Yeah.
you'd be compensating the town for the same,
Okay.
more than a consent. All that being said, I don't think that we're necessarily ready to approve, but I will leave that. I'm one of 7. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
So just the upgrade, when you say upgrade, is it more powerful waves that are coming out of it? Is that?
All depends on how you look at it.
So basically, in essence, when they're upgrading antennas, it's going to offer more capabilities. So it depends on exactly what the antennas and the model numbers are. So most of the time, yes, they're not going to give us a lesser quality antenna for
Right.
less transmission.
Right, yeah, they're upgrading them. Bigger, better.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know enough about the waves that come out of them, but I'd like to know what the difference is between what's currently, gonna be.
At that height, it's not going to make a difference. Your cell phone's going to have more of an impact than something that's going to be at that height.
To where? Because there are houses that are literally,
This is at the top tank.
yeah.
Do we have any houses that are,
This is on Birchcrest, right?
oh, but
Right at the
Center
hill.
Street.
Right at the top of the hill.
Center Street.
Yeah, on Birchcrest.
Birchcrest, oh, yeah, Birchcrest,
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
right.
there's houses, literally, you could almost touch the tower from the closest houses around this, so I guess I'd be concerned with,
There is a clause in our bylaw, I'd have to triple check, but I believe there is a clause in there regarding having these carriers provide us with information on that.
Did you, do we have a frequency study? Like, I'm just guessing you've done that already, or?
We do have a emissions report that I can provide.
I think
Yeah.
that would be helpful, and I think that would
Yep.
give you what you need.
AT&T is very strict about it, one of the strictest about EME. And so anything outside of 70 feet is safe. 70, so if our RAD center is at 99, everyone's safe.
Rad centers, that's their highest point.
We have certain criteria that we have to keep away from them on rooftops, walking in front of them, working on them, whatever. And I'm fully versed in that, so there's no harm to the public, and Carolyn will get that. On the removal bond, does Carolyn have to provide that? Because I know there's always an original one set up when we build these way back when.
I mean, when you build them way back when, is the removal bond, has that been transferred to the lessor of the lease? Is it still in the
Yeah.
name of the same entity? And then I'd want to know what the value is, because we all know that construction costs are quite different than they were in 1986. Or whenever that was signed. Most of these are,
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into the
So I want to
removal
make sure
bond.
that all of those things are up to date. So if you could send a copy of the consent that was signed, any lease amendments, any other pertinent documents related to the site, if you could get that over to staff as soon as possible, and then I can take a look at those.
Mobile home.
So one quick question.
Sure.
So Liz, do you know if, given this, it's a public hearing, right, that, so this notice goes out to all of us?
Yeah, this was a special permit, so all abutters were notified about this, and they went certified mail, so yes, they were.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good.
I brought the green cards and everything with me. And the newspaper clipping.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Yep, go.
Member
No,
Covino?
no, I don't have anything to ask.
Quick question, basically curiosity more than anything else. So the frequency of the existing, the emissions, emitting frequency of the existing antennas, is that changing?
It's always gonna vary, sir,
Yeah,
because
but are you going from, 900 megahertz to 3 gigahertz or something?
the EME report will provide what it is.
You know off the top of your head?
Oh, no, that's for the RF engineers to, actually
Yeah.
above them.
And I assume, Liz, that our town council must review all these, no?
I would
Yes.
hope so. I think
Yes,
so. I would
I
hope
worked
so.
with her in the small cell, and
Right.
wireless stuff.
And the agreement is actually made with the, signed by the selectmen, is that how that works? Do you know?
I believe so, but don't quote me on that.
So, Ernie, along the lines of what you were asking, the town council probably reviews the contract,
Right,
not
right.
necessarily the emissions.
Yeah, well, there is a provision that we could actually have somebody peer review this if we wanted to,
Right,
but I don't know if
that
it's
was my-
necessary or not.
That's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you have a ground site plan? Anything on the ground?
The grounding,
Yeah? I
it
don't
should be detailed in that.
Which page, Mark? Would you- for that? Right here?
You talking the equipment ground or the
Yeah,
tank?
equipment ground. No, I have the stuff in the tank.
Equipment plan,
Yeah.
A2?
What do you have on the ground, on the brass itself?
Go to the next. You're gonna have the ground details in the last pages, it's 14 pages. There's, the grounding is on page.
This one?
Yeah,
This one's on the screen.
everything,
Yep.
everything.
The grounding details is on page, well, it's sheet A8, page 13.
This one is on the screen up there.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, let me move that forward.
second to last page.
I'm gonna have to go through this a little bit.
This one, is it this one? It's that one, right?
No, I'm gonna have to go a little bit closer. If you can get the items that I'd asked for, that would be extremely helpful. The sooner the better.
Sure.
I don't know that I'll be present at the next meeting. I'm assuming you guys want to go on air as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
What's the next meeting after? What's the first meeting in December?
December 1st. It's getting heavy.
December 1st is?
Are you agreeable to continue to December 1st?
Yeah, oh, yeah, we can go to December 1st.
Our bosses won't like it, but
Yeah,
sure, if
but-
that's what you want.
I know I won't be at the next meeting, and, like I said, this is kind of my
And they're
wheelhouse.
gonna need 5 votes, right?
Yeah, so.
Would I just upload those documents to Viewpoint, the portal?
Yes, you
Okay.
can also email them to planning@burlington.org as well.
Okay,
So you
perfect,
do
yep.
both would be great, very helpful, and then I can forward them along to you, and we can chat about it as
Perfect.
well offline.
Member Gaffney, do you have anything you'd like to contribute to this matter?
No, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions or comments before we make a motion?
On the grounding, it's all bonded, all existing. Anything they find up there, they have to get it all grounded, bonded into the earth, so
Okay.
anything that's out of whack when they're building it, they'll charge us for it.
Sure, they will. They'll charge you for it, but will they actually remove it? That's the question.
Public hearing.
Yes, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that has any questions, comments, concerns on this matter? Seeing no one, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to continue
Got
this.
a hand up.
Mr. Basler, how can I help you?
You guys make it cumbersome to unmute myself.
2 minutes and 45 seconds.
What do you think, you're leaving the leadership position?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to be at the next meeting. That's all.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right, good to know.
Great. Is there any?
What? No, I'm not done yet. I got 2 minutes and probably 20 seconds.
No, it's really the 3 minutes about, that's for public participation time. That's not necessarily for questions or comments. And if it doesn't relate to the matter,
So I'll participate in public. You want me to sing you a song?
no,
Sing you all a song.
I don't want you to sing me a song. I appreciate that. Once again, you could do
I
that
have a
offline.
question. I still have another question, public question, which is legally bound.
Ask
by,
it.
What is it?
It's for Barbara again. The powers that be told me on your board that you actually blocked me from that Facebook page. Or you encouraged it to block.
Mr. Bassler, I have no control over Facebook or Facebook groups.
Well,
None.
you're gonna have to deal with your own people then, because they're like throwing you under the bus.
I don't care. I'm
Well,
sorry.
you can laugh all you want and you say you don't care, but it's a violation of law, just so you know.
Well, it's Facebook, so it's not necessarily a violation of law, my
I
friend.
have no control over
Well,
Facebook.
no,
over Facebook.
Wendy, you don't understand the complexities of what's going on.
I honestly, I gotta tell you, this is not my forte, nor do I have the bandwidth to understand it right now.
Barbara, you're a good woman. You support Burlington, listen, I love you all, everyone. But, you know, what's going on blocking, public speaking from expressing their opinions, opposing views is wrong. I mean, it's
Mr.
just wrong.
Bassler, no one here on planning board has any authority over Facebook or Facebook groups,
I'm not
myself
saying
included.
planning board, but okay, good night.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bassler. I hope you have a wonderful evening. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to continue this matter to the planning board meeting of December 1st, 2022.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
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 Great. Moving on to minutes, did everyone have an opportunity to read the June 16th and 18th, I'm sorry. Have a wonderful evening. I got sidetracked. We will see you December 1st.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Meeting minutes, August 16th, I'm sorry, June 16th, August 18th. Did everyone have an opportunity?
I didn't.
Yes.
I'll be abstaining from June 16th.
Okay.
Sure.
I will abstain.
You're going to abstain.
Are you from what?
Which ones?
Both, I didn't get the chance to
So
look
I
at
read
it.
the August though. You should have 5 with.
Yeah. Bill, are you all set to vote for minutes?
I'm all set up to vote for both, thank you.
Great.
Okay, let's take them separately though, because we
Sure.
have to, okay, so Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes of June 16th, 2022.
Second.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
So 2 abstentions, so 502.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that we accept the minutes of August 18th, 2022.
Second.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
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 Sure.
Yes.
601.
601.
Got it.
Great. Let's talk about releasing the lots over at Mill Pond Estates, the definitive subdivision. Liz?
Sure, so we have received a request from the applicant for that, and we received the required bond. They're looking to release the houses from the covenant and sell them or occupy them. And we have a bond to ensure that the roadway is constructed according to our standards. So that is still, so the houses are released from the covenant, the road work is still underway. This subdivision is not fully closed out yet.
Which
So,
one is Mill Pond?
Mill Pond Estates, it's off of
Chandler Road.
Chandler Road, yep. And so that's kind of what this is. So we're lots 2 and 3, so it's kind of 1, 2, 3. So it's the back 2 lots are looking to be released for sale. And so that's kind of all I have, Madam Chair.
Those back to are occupied by the developer and builder.
Correct, that's correct.
Question for staff.
Sure.
So that subdivision was the one where some land was going to be given to conservation? Has that been done?
That has all been
Thank you.
completed and it's in the conservation
Recorded.
restriction, it's recorded,
Perfect.
it's signed, sealed, delivered.
Great. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that the planning board hereby approves the release of lots 2 and 3, numbers 4 and 6 Mill Pond Lane, from the Mill Pond Estates definitive subdivision conditional covenant for the purposes of sale and endorsed.
Form G.
And endorsed in the attached Form G1 in exchange for surety to complete remaining items and street acceptance plans. The planning board does not yet declare the subdivision complete or recommend acceptance of the roadway to town meeting until the remainder of requirements have been submitted. The Form G1 will be released to the subdivider once the remaining surety is submitted to the planning department.
Second.
Tony Ann?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
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 Bill?
Yes, yep.
Great, 7-0.
So, looks like there's a withdrawal for a special permit and site plan for 49 Middlesex Turnpike. Do you want to tell us a little bit about
I
that?
would love to do that. So, Ned's Towing, the site for Ned's Towing, they had a deal that they wanted to open up a quick oil change facility there. I think something happened, I don't know, the deal fell through essentially. And so they have asked to withdraw at this point.
Sounds pretty straightforward to me. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
Nope.
Nope.
May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the planning board hereby accepts the applicant's request to withdraw without prejudice the application for approval of special permit findings pursuant to section 6.1.1.1 and 6.1.1.2, and the application for approval of a site plan for property at 49 Middlesex Turnpike as requested in an email dated October 19th, 2022.
Second.
Tony?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Yes.
Brenda? Barbara?
Yes.
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 Bill?
Yes.
Awesome.
Great. Planning Department open positions. Liz, what do you got for us?
I have no updates. We have posted them. We are actively seeking applicants. I will try and reach back with HR, see if she has anybody, but we're actively still looking.
So I gotta go start hanging out with planning departments in other towns, is that what
I
you're telling me?
mean,
Fair.
sure.
Sounds good. What about the MBTA communities?
So we had kind of a kickoff meeting with just subcommittee members here, Bill and Barbara. We had that on Wednesday evening. I think it went really well. We kind of decided that looking at the town center to meet these requirements was not really something that we wanted to pursue at this point, I think we can say. But there are other sites. I mean, there are a lot. We already have multifamily in town. We already have properties that are multifamily. The option of putting an overlay zone on top of existing multifamily, I think is kind of what we've been looking at. And then there are also, we've talked about, there are other sites in town that could use redevelopment, that are tired, that, wouldn't, that these things could work on. I kind of just want to reiterate, there's a lot going on online about this. There's no requirement for a certain number of units be built. We don't need to build a certain number of units. We just need to enact zoning that allows multifamily by right. It's not a 40B, we don't need to meet a percentage of, all of that stuff. So just wanted to reiterate that, it's not as dire as I think the online community might make it seem.
I mean, it's online. If it's on Facebook, it's real, right?
So just want, and we're going to continue to talk about that. I think that we had a really good start with Bill and Barbara, and I obviously want to let you guys kind of state your piece as well.
Sure. Barbara?
Thank you. We did have a great meeting, and my attitude going into this was, let's find out if we can comply without sacrifice on the part of the town. And although we still need to finalize the numbers, it looks like our existing multifamily housing will probably be enough or close to enough to satisfy the need that we have. And so that means it will be very easy to comply. Again, it's not finalized, but that's what it looks like. And the other thing that we talked about in that meeting is that I think that we should present just a little update for town meeting in January, because there has been a lot of consternation about this, and it would be a good opportunity for us to lay some fears to rest.
Sure.
So I'm going to suggest that we do that during department reports in January at town meeting.
I think that would be an excellent idea. Kayla, I know how wonderful you are with graphics and social media and such. Would you be interested in putting a couple slides together?
Absolutely.
With the guidance, of course, Barbara and Bill.
Yep.
And then I think once that's presented, we should put that on our Facebook page and
Absolutely.
planning board page as well, so we can get that word out there. Make sure we're spearheading any rumors. Member Gaffney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so I would agree with Member LaRue on that. So what we need to do for January is to set a plan up, and I was going in there with my ideas of what a comprehensive plan was for the state. It turns out the state already had a checklist of what they had an idea for a plan was, and it appeared to be fairly simple. It kind of like a 20-question quiz that you might get when you're in high school. So it was very, very simple. Just check off some items, what your plan is. Maybe you can expand on that with some of the tasks that we're going to do. But again, I had visions of grandeur with Gantt charts and things like that in my head. But the state has set up for the plan to be that we need to do in January, which should be the focus of that. Is just to get that done and complete. But yeah, I think it was quite different than what I anticipated. And based on what Barbara said, the existing multifamily housing is going to meet that requirements of that MBTA community. But I think we should actually, when we do zone it, we should zone it and call it just that, the MBTA community zone. So it kind of lines one to one. And if we want to add anything to that, then we call it town center or whatever we want. But I would keep it specifically to what the state needs. So when they can say, did you do that? It's just that it doesn't mix up with any other zoning that is in there. That's just my thoughts. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, I like that idea.
I think it's a good idea, Bill.
Okay, where is somebody in the, Mr. Basler? Do you have something to comment about this matter?
Yes.
What would you like to say about this matter?
Hold on, y'all keep messing with me with muting the thing. Hold on. I want to tell Tweedledum, my prior participant, to shut up because you don't know what he's talking about. Secondly, let me put on your screen here.
I'm not.
It's not a public hearing.
This is not a public hearing.
I want to talk to Barbara LaRue about housing.
No, that's not what we're, look at, Mr. Bowser, I appreciate your tenacity and I love the fact that, you really want to get involved. We have an agenda, we need to get through the agenda. The longer I stay and listen to you banter and sing and dance and all that fun stuff, I can't get home to my family. And that's pretty important to me too. So if you want to sing and dance and talk about well-being, we can do so offline. Let's move on to meeting start time.
This is just my kind of throwing out there.
How would you feel about starting at 6? Talk amongst yourselves.
I mean, I think 6:30 is palatable. 6 o'clock, I think, might be too tough for people getting out of work at 5. And then, I mean, those who need childcare.
6:30 would work for me. 6 might be tough, but 6:30 would work.
6:30? Bill? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, when I first came to the planning board, I think we moved from 6:30 to 7, right? Which was probably about 7, 8 years ago. So we were originally at 6:30, but I think if we're going to move back to 6:30, then we shut off at, we don't continue. We shut off at, we get that kind of that target at 10:30 versus the 11 o'clock buzz. That's the only thing that would be
We've hit 11 o'clock in a very long time.
That's
yeah.
true.
But I'm just saying, just if that's I wouldn't say we just kind of let's shift everything back then if that's the case. But I can make 6:30.
Yeah.
9:30 didn't have a deal.
If I can get us out of here at 9:30 every night.
So this,
You
I'm
do
gonna-
pretty good, you do
So
pretty good.
we can talk more about it, but I think probably maybe thinking about it starting in January, and because we do have notices out already that state that the meeting will start at 7. So
So, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Should we vote on that? Or do we need to vote on that?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that the planning board decides to start their meetings at 6:30 PM, beginning in January 2023.
You want want me to second it?
I do.
Okay, second. Although it's the chairman's
Yes.
purview. You could start at 5 if you want.
No, I don't want to start at 5. I like 6:30.
I'd get up.
Go ahead, second.
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
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 Will you be here?
No.
Bill? Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't look like we have anything else on our agenda, so I would like a motion to adjourn, please.
I thought we were having ice cream and cake. Oh, no.
Oh, we are. Let's go.
Second,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah,
Tony,
sorry.
we have to vote. Do we vote to adjourn?
Yes.
Yes.
Tony Ann?
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bill, Brenda, Barbara?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good evening,
Bill,
folks.
If you haven't already, please sign the plan and then the Form G1, both of them for each lot that we released, right next to,
Before we have flash.